Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is for class 11th biology students, and this is meant for 24th August 2020. And in this session we are going to study a new chapter, and this chapter it is chapter number 17, breathing and exchange of gases. And this chapter comes under last unit 5, human physiology. And previously this human physiology unit was having a weightage of 18 marks, but for your batch it has come down to 17 marks, 1 mark less for your batch. Also you must note that human physiology consists of almost 7 chapters: digestion, absorption, breathing and exchange of gases, body fluids and circulation, excretory products and their elimination, locomotion and movement, neural control and coordination, chemical coordination and integration. This many chapters were there. For your batch, out of these 7, 3 chapters are removed. One is chapter number 16, digestion and absorption is removed. Chapter number 20, locomotion and movement is removed. Chapter number 21, neural control and coordination is removed. So total 7 were there, 3 removed, 4, and the marks weightage is 17. That means almost 4 marks on an average in each chapter. So we must keep that in our mind, that whenever we are studying about this breathing and exchange of gases, 2 common things will come to my mind. That is, most of us get confused between breathing and respiration. Whenever we talk of respiration, we use inter alia. Many people say respiration means taking oxygen inside and leaving carbon dioxide out. That is not the respiration. Respiration is oxidation of glucose. See, we studied in digestion, whatever we eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, everything, finally it becomes glucose. So that glucose is to be broken down and give us ATP. Recently only we studied Krebs cycle, TCA cycle. We said 38 ATP molecules, 1 glucose molecule will give us 38 and 2 will be spent, 36 net glucose profit. So the aim of respiration is that the glucose that is formed should be oxidized. And what is the purpose? We get 36 ATP molecules. So something like 686 calories, I said, will be produced. So the purpose is to get energy, and thanks to respiration. So respiration is energy giving process, and it is oxidation of glucose. So kindly don't say taking oxygen inside, leaving carbon dioxide. That is breathing. So breathing is the physical process, whereas respiration is biochemical process. Breathing is physical process. You can observe, all of you inhale once, you will see your chest movements will be there. When you inhale like this, you can see the chest getting expanded, and when you exhale, again you can see there's something, diaphragm. You can see here, that is a muscle. Again, many people think that diaphragm is a bone. Diaphragm is not a bone. Diaphragm is a muscle. So the muscle goes up and down. As the muscle goes up and down, the entire chest cavity gets compressed or relaxed. Based on that, you have space inside. If the space is available, lungs will expand. When lungs expand, more oxygen goes inside. When the space is not there, the chest bones are compressed. The lungs also automatically compressed. Whatever carbon dioxide that is formed inside our body will come out. This is the simple mechanical process. We will be studying in detail stepwise about the mechanism of breathing. But basically what you must know is breathing is physical, observable process of inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide, whereas respiration is oxidation of glucose, and it's a biochemical process, energy giving process. Specifically 36 ATP molecules are released, whereas in breathing we are spending energy. You see, when you inhale, you have to spend the energy. When your muscles are to move, chest muscles, they have to spend energy. When bones are to be compressed or relaxed, yes, chest cavity is to be compressed, relaxed, energy is to be spent. So breathing is energy spending process. Okay, and I want to tell you some important facts about this chapter. When oxygen is added to an anaerobic cell, you know what is anaerobic cell? using glucose at high rate, the rate of glucose consumption declines significantly. This is known as Passer effect. Okay, Passer effect. For the gaseous exchange to be efficient, the respiratory surface should be thin, large, moist, permeable to respiratory gases, and highly vascular, and directly or indirectly in contact with the source of oxygen. Okay, and in buccal cavity, where is the buccal cavity? This only, no? Buccal cavity. In buccal cavity, soft pellet, tongue, lips assist the larynx. You can see the label larynx in producing articulate human speech. A film of lecithin lines the alveoli. Lecithin, you must remember this. But in some newborn babies, this film of lecithin may not be present, which may be fatal to the baby as it may lead to collapsing of lungs. Pleural fluid lubricates the pleura. What is pleura? The liquid that is present inside the lungs, is it? Pleura. And reduces friction when the membranes rub against each other during inspiration and expiration. Remember pleura, pleural fluid. Intrapleural pressure is always 4 mmHg than the atmospheric pressure to regulate elasticity of the lungs. Mammals have negative pressure breathing and the lungs draw in air due to this reduction in pressure. This allows eating and breathing at the same time. Hemoglobin has a high affinity for oxygen. Affinity means liking. And this affinity is increased by fall in partial pressure of CO2 in blood. The diving mammals can store oxygen in their blood and muscles as they have more blood and more oxygen, storing protein myoglobin in the muscles. The hemoglobin also acts as a buffer and keeps the pH of blood from fluctuating. The hemoglobin of the fetus has a higher affinity for oxygen than the mother's hemoglobin. This enables the fetal hemoglobin to pick up oxygen at low oxygen pressures also from the mother's hemoglobin. The neurons of the inspiratory center are active for 2 seconds and then rest for 3 seconds in the brain. Hypoxia, this is normally you have been hearing with the COVID-19, okay? Hypoxia is a condition of oxygen shortage in tissues, while asphyxia is caused by an increase in CO2 concentration in the tissues. So remember hypoxia and asphyxia. A hiccup, when sometimes when you are feeling thirsty, or when suddenly due to some reasons, unknown reasons, you will be saying like that, and you can see the chest cavity going up. Sometimes it troubles us also a lot because when it is non-stop, you have the pain also in the chest. That's called hiccup. The hiccup is an involuntary contraction of the diaphragm. It's involuntary, followed by closure of vocal cords and may repeat several times in a minute. So breathing refers to muscular movements that send fresh air to the respiratory organs, that's called inspiration or inhalation, and remove foul air, bad air from the lungs, that is exhalation. During normal breathing, inspiration is an active process, whereas exhalation is a passive process. The process of respiration involves inflow of air between atmosphere and the alveoli of the lungs. First breathing. Then after breathing, diffusion of O2 and CO2 from alveolar membrane across the alveoli. And the third, from alveoli, oxygen and O2 are transported to blood. From lungs it goes to blood. And diffusion of O2 and CO2 between the blood and the tissue. Next, utilization of O2 by the cells for catabolism and resultant release of CO2, that is cellular respiration, takes place. So respiration is a biochemical process by which glucose present in the food are oxidized to liberate chemical energy, that is ATP, in a stepwise manner. So that's how respiration is different from breathing. And we have got varieties of structures that help in respiratory mechanism. Like for example, in protozoans, it is the plasma membrane, we say organs of respiratory system. You can see here. In our case, it is lungs. What about in lower animals? In protozoans, it is plasma membrane. In sponges, again, it is plasma membrane of the each cell. And in cnidarians, it is the body wall. In platyhelminthes, it is body surface. Nemathelminthes, again, it is body surface. Annelids, it is body wall as well as gills. And in arthropods, gills, trachea, book lungs and book gills. And then in molluscus, it is gills. In echinodermata, that is, remember, starfish, tube feet. Again, you have to remember this. In many competitive exams, this question is asked. Name the respiratory organ in phylum echinodermata, tube feet, remember. And hemichordates, it is the pharyngeal wall, pharynx. And of course, chordates, it is pharyngeal wall, gills, skin, and finally lungs, as you are seeing here. So in human respiratory system, these are all the various structures. I want you to draw this diagram as well as this diagram on a paper with a pencil, label it, and try to find out the significance of each label and post it in our WhatsApp group. Then I will discuss the mechanism of breathing in my next class. Until then,